You know what I mean? You're like, like a new album. I'll be making this like, like album, yeah. Be Here Now wasn't that bad. Okay, cringy sketch aside, this album is definitely worth reviewing and addressing, considering it's been one of the most well-hyped albums of the year, in fact. In fact, I'm sure Liam's going to be up for a few Brit Awards and may even challenge Ed or Stormzy this year. This past year, Liam Gallagher, completely out of nowhere, like it or not, has burst back into the public consciousness, performing at One Love Manchester, then suddenly at all the festivals, Reading, Glastonbury, constantly on TV, doing interviews, on Graham Norton. He was going to be on that terrible music show, sounds like Friday Night, but luckily he dodged that bullet. So Dizzy Rascal took the whole idea of swearing on live TV for him. I'm sure Liam thanks you, Dizzy. And of course, Enemy totally lapped this up, having a Liam Gallagher-based post on Facebook every 5 minutes. And expectations were very, very low for this album. So in 2009, Oasis split up, and Noel and Liam went their separate ways. Noel forming the High Flying Birds, and Liam forming BDI. And the High Flying Birds got moderately good reviews, were absolutely massive success, with their album selling about 1 million copies and still remaining the sort of like feel-good Brit-poppy rock that Oasis had done brilliantly, if so a bit more mediocrely, towards the latter half of their career. Whereas BDR, on the other hand, were a lot more, say, stripped down, sort of like the Rolling Stones type bluesy. In fact, not really like Rolling Stones bluesy, like when Primal Scream tried to copy the Rolling Stones' bluesiness on their album after Screamadelica, which no one remembers, hence why I don't remember the name now. Ha ha! So much for moving on up. But despite all these additional features, BDI basically still sounded like mediocre Oasis, in fact, not even Be Here Now level, like Standing on the Shoulders of Giants level. And it was just totally forgettable. Like, it went in one ear and straight out the other. And if it wasn't Liam and the rest, then it probably wouldn't have even have been, like, if it was just another band casually coming along, then they wouldn't have even got signed. But they tried again on a second one, with rougher and weirder lyrics and more experimentality, which many critics thought was a bit more enchanting. However, it still felt like a ton of half-baked ideas, with lyrics not really... Let's face it, they were just bad. And I had low expectations, because considering that Liam with BDI hadn't done anything much good since Oasis split up, and Noel was doing successful with the High Flying Birds, it seemed true that Noel was the one in Oasis that had all the talent. Plus, there's the elephant in the room, Liam's reputation. And yeah, that did put me off a bit at first, because you constantly heard about him in the tabloids as that guy was a bit of an idiot, always up for a fight, always bad-mouthing everyone, which especially annoyed me as he disliked two of my favourite 2000s bands, Block Party and Keane. And not to mention that at one point he challenged George Harrison to a fight when Oasis actually had ripped off one of his songs. Or then again, sometimes taking a riff is maybe considered a bit similar to when a rapper samples a song, maybe it's still... Either way, it felt a bit dodgy. But two of my all-time favourite artists are Jamiroquai and Kanye West, so clearly I don't judge music on the personality of the artist. So let's get straight in. The album opens with the first single, Wall of Glass. And in all fairness, it's actually quite a good track. Because you've got Liam's full enthusiasm there, in his delivery, you get the full attitude coming across, that clear bite of attitude. That's so typically Liam. However, you also get a bit more of the BDI sound coming in. There's a clear attempt at being bluesy, as of the harmonica shown frequently throughout the track. And it's not as catchy as it could be, but it's a damn good start, I think, because it sets out Liam's clear sound. It isn't instantly going full Oasis singy-songy, when it's not going full BDI. It's cementing the Liam solo sound. And that's what I like about it. It's clearly setting him out as similar, but not completely the same from the start. So the Liam train is right off to a good start. And as I listen more and more, it's actually a really good album. I think the first highlight that springs to mind for me is Chinatown. You know, quite a gentle track with sort of like a stomping acoustic rhythm in the background. And yes, it is very Oasis-y. You've got Beatles references in the lyrics, you know, happiness is still a warm gun. And also just quite a fun track as well, in that sort of sense. Oh yeah, and it's got Oasis-y lyrics like you'd get on Shaker Maker, where you've got like the seemingly random, weird, bizarre lyrics, but still rhyme in a sort of fun way, and that's how it is. It's a fun track, in that it just takes the best parts of some of the Oasis stuff to just make a really enjoyable, surprisingly gentle track. And, as I said earlier, I'm glad that this one still fits in with the Liam solo style. It's got the Oasis stuff, but it's also got some BDI stuff, with the keyboard, with this sort of like random synth line, you know, just quietly in the background, adding a psychedelic edge that was like BDI. And now that I think about it, actually seems a bit like some of the Ian Brown solo stuff as well. So another banger right in there. Oh, banger, that was cringy. Another standout for me would be For What It's Worth, which surprisingly is another soft track and reveals a part of Liam Gallagher that no one would ever have imagined. A sort of kind-hearted, cuddly rock star. You know, it's got quite a soft sound, and it features him talking about apologising, as though he's like aware of what he's like something you get with quite a few egocentric musicians, like on Kanye West's album My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. On the track Runaway, there's clear references to his own famed attitude. And anyway, this one does sound familiar because it does have a Oasis-y, or should I say Beatles-y stomp to it, with some piano in the background. However, call it rip-off music, it's still good music, and a fantastic track at that. And it seems to connect thematically with the rest of the album. You know, it's revealed a slightly more tender and vulnerable side of Liam, whilst also having some political links, like I forgot to mention earlier, but Chinatown seems to have links to sort of like the whole political chaos that's been going on in the UK at the moment, with mentions of the EU and stuff like that, you know, of the lyrics, so what's a European? So, although it never like explicitly references something, there are still clear links to that sort of thinking and idea all throughout it. So that's what I like. It creates a unique sound for Liam, and creates a unique theme that all, you know, it just all comes together nicely, a nice little package. But it's not all soft. Next we have Greedy Soul, getting back to that good old Morning Glory type loudness, the stomping, which I think really works for Liam as well, because let's face it, his voice has got a very punk nature to it, and you do get a whole idea of what's it called, his idols coming through. You know, you certainly get a bit of Sid Vicious popping out. This one too seems to connect to the whole political thing, your whole idea of greedy soul and politicians. And it may also have some religious background as well. There are references to crucifixion throughout it. But, yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure what exactly he's talking about, but he's always got a nice sense of... The lyrics always seem to have a sense of wit about them. And yes, again, people could say this is rip-off music, taking the same old Britpop sound. But I'd say, like Oasis, it is good music and likeable music, because it incorporates just the whole feel of British rock overall. You know, ever since the Stone Roses released their album, there's always been a certain feel, you know, a certain sound where I'm not sure how it's made or how exactly it is. It's clear in Coldplay, Keane, Oasis, Blur, just a clear sense of Britishness, that's what I'll call it. There's just prevalent throughout this album. And that's something that's been missing from British rock for quite a while now. Like, we haven't had any Britpoppy type stuff in this decade, so I'm saying, like, it's great to see it again, and thanks for bringing it back, Liam. Oh, I never thought I'd be thanking Liam Gallagher. Next comes When I'm in Need, a track that is very 60s inspired and does have that very Beatley sound, but I keep saying it seems to rip off not rip off, but take inspiration from various stuff, but it does it in a very self-aware way. Like as I said, it quoted the Beatles lyrics earlier, and in this track he says the lyrics, "Do you know what I mean?" A famous Oasis line from this which shall not be named. And this is the track that instantly proves that this isn't just an album about witty lyrics, capturing the sound of British music overall. This is the track that shows it's an album of great production standards as well, because here you get the full great instrumentation as a whole. You get the trumpets coming in, some slightly regal, maybe eerie instrumentation, and even like a holy chant coming in at the end, which is something that just draws you in, with the line, "come together," it just works. I'm sorry if I'm not finding the words now. It's late, I'm tired, but anyway, another good track. Stadium anthem, tick. And final standout track I'll mention, "I've All I Need," which, surprise, another gentle and soft one, with a very warm sounding guitar that is very Britpop. And as with For What It's Worth, where he's being sincere and apologising, this one too has got a really nice message to it. It's him thanking everyone that's helped him along the way throughout his life. And it's just, I love the sound so much because it introduces, as I've said before, the other side of Liam Gallagher. And I actually really like him now. Like, before you thought, oh, that tosser, but yeah, this is actually making a good case for Liam being Good Guy of the Year 2017. And it makes a fitting end to the album. You've still got the self-aware Beatles-ness, of the line "Tomorrow Never Knows," which in itself is an Oasis line on Morning Glory. But yeah, a nice mellow end with a killer guitar solo and some sonic mixing, so the psychedelic beady-eyedness is always there. Brilliant. So overall, despite really low expectations but tons and tons of hype, this album's pretty damn good. It remains familiar enough with some of the Oasis-y, all basically the Oasis-y, Beatles-y rhythms, lyrics, and all stuff very reminiscent of that, but also remains different enough with the BDI type psychedelia sneaking in to give Liam his own unique sound. So it'll give the Oasis fans what they want, but also provide them something unique, or something else, something different, that makes it more album to treasure than any of the stuff that Oasis put out in their later period. Tons of great, and despite it does have its loud, rocky moments that you'd expect from Liam, with all the bite and attitude that he's beloved for. And then it makes you love him even more when it reveals a soft, warm, just gentle side of him, in capturing the British sound that we all love as a nation. Why can't I find the words tonight? If you like this album, I'd recommend some later period Oasis, some of the solo stuff by Ian Brown, alongside other sonically inspired but essentially Britpop artists such as the Electric Soft Parade and the Boo Radleys. Hey, just wondering, let's see what Noel's up to. Hey Noel! The one I love, the one I love. The one I love. Oh! So it appears that Liam's turned to Oasis-y Britpop, and Noel's gone to bluesy, psychedelic forgettableness. It's opposite day! I give this album a 7.5. Or maybe an 8, I'm not entirely sure. But that's my recommendation. Please comment what you thought on this album, and give any recommendations for what you'd like to hear. Goodbye.